Lugisani Nefale is married to Kelebogile Nefale. He's currently doing his MBA at Gibbs at the University of Pretoria, where he is also a class representative for the long block cohort. Lugisani completed his postgraduate diploma in business management at Regenesis Business School in 2015. He holds a GCC Mines Engineer certificate from the DMRE, that is the Department of Minerals and Energy, that was completed in 2013. He graduated with a BSc in Mechanical Engineering from the University of Cape Town, South Africa in 2009. He is currently working as a section engineer at Sasol Mining. He also worked as an engineer at Anglo American Coal South Africa from 2010 to 2017. Lugisani is an ordained pastor of Trinity Impact Church based in Midrand, Gauteng since 2017. He completed his diploma in ministry at Faith Bible College in 2014. He has been a youth leader since his high school days until 2014, where he served for his local churches, Gospel Rama Church, Cape Town, and Rima Revival Center in Middleburg. Lugisani has also preached in Botswana, Zambia, and Zimbabwe within the SADC region. So, here it is, my conversation with Lugisani Nefale. So, Pastor Lugisani, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a great honor and privilege to have you join us today. Thank you.
The pleasure is also on mine. Thank you for inviting us. I'm very excited to be part of a goal setting, vision casting discussion with you, Sakhiwo. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Indeed, sir. Thank you so much. So without any waste of time, let's get to it. How would you then define vision casting or goal setting in today's context, in a context where we are faced with a pandemic, we are faced with so many uncertainties? How would you then define vision casting or goal setting?
Yeah, thank you for that question. In terms of the definition of goal setting, and especially if you talk about within the context of the pandemic, maybe it would be okay for me to just go back and just define it outside of the pandemic. So obviously we know that vision casting or goal setting, we're talking about defining where you want to be as an individual or as an organization, or what you want after a period of time. So it's defining where you want to be after a period of time, or what you want after a period of time. So that's vision casting or goal casting, and that can be an individual or an organization. So in terms of in the setting of the pandemic, that's where this term DVCAD comes in, where now so vision casting and goal setting in the context of the pandemic will then mean that you are defining where you want to be or what you want as an individual or organization. VUCAD, we are familiar with VUCA, VUCA, which is talks about the uncertainty, the complexity, the ambiguity, and V is for the volatility. So we are familiar with that, but I think the pandemic has made the DVCAD, which is an addition of the D before VUCA, VUCA, D for disruption, before VUCA, and D at the end of VUCA for diversity. So the pandemic has really confirmed that we've moved away from just the volatility and the uncertainty and the complexity and the ambiguity, and there's a disruption and there's a diversity. So, so in that context, then vision casting, it means now defining where you want to be, but being agile about where you want to be.
Yes,
and also being flexible in terms of actually being agile about how you get there, and being agile. So you still keep where you want to be, but you are agile, you are flexible about how you're going to get there, because it now brings dynamics on the finances, dynamics on the, it takes you out of the normal. So usually there are ways of how to get to where you want to be, how to get what you want. But those normal, common known ways, they are no longer, they no longer apply, and they are no longer guaranteed. So in summary, vision casting and goal setting in a pandemic setting, it talks about you keep the what, but being flexible with the how. So the pandemic just changes the how. And I think we'll elaborate more when we talk about other things, but the key word is being agile, being creative. It's costly. It's now costly to get to your vision, to cast a vision and goal setting, and setting goal setting within a pandemic or vision casting. It's the difference is just that now you have got room for agility, creativity, and flexibility to still arrive to the destination that you want to arrive to.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, look, I like the 2 Ds that you added in the VCAT acronym. So I really appreciate that. And the first D you said was for disruption, and the one for diversity, right? So
Yes.
And also allowing one to be quite agile and also being creative. And I think all of that process allows for what I would call greater transformation to propel the vision forward. So thank you for that insight. I really appreciate that. So now, given the major challenges, obviously, that we faced in 2020 and how the pandemic has affected all of us, would you recommend that we craft big, hairy, audacious goals as recommended by James and Jerry in their book, Build to Last? Or should we simply be conservative and measured in our vision crafting?
I think it depends. And I say this because there are individuals and organizations who, for them, a blessing has been this time of the pandemic, and the growth and the expansion that they are seeing, they will never have experienced it if it was not of the pandemic. So I think it depends, and it's an issue of positioning. I mean, you and I now are talking on this platform, which quite frankly 2 years ago, even if I had known about it, I wouldn't have used it.
Yes.
But the owners of this platform that we are using, their stock share price jumped 300%, more than 300%.
More than 300%.
And that's because, so you couldn't go to them and tell them not to dream big and audacious dreams.
Wow.
So it's about who you are, where you want to be, what products do you have, and how bad do you want it. I think as a rule of thumb, any organization, any individual can prosper and they can dream big, and those have dreams. I think it's still very much possible. But I am cautious of the patience that organizations and individuals have to exercise. And there are things that might not be possible in this time of the pandemic. But I didn't want to just leave it to say, no, let's minimize and dream small dreams. I don't think one should go in with an answer. I think it depends. So one must analyze what product they have, what is their goal, where they want to get from. And from that analysis, that's where the wisdom might be to hold, because there are also some who are losing a lot by not being patient until the pandemic has passed. And I mean, if there will be loss of lives involved, then it's already a big no-no. If people will be at a risk of being infected with the COVID-19 virus. So, and I've got an example with this. I mean, there are businesses. There's a business in Cape Town which used to sell surfing products, surfing board and so on. And as the pandemic came in, they changed their business. And instead of selling surfing product and surfing clothes, they now sell customized meals and a niche market for the type of food that people in Cape Town want. And what they're really leveraging on is they have now turned their network. The people who used to buy products from them, They have that database. Now they market the certain types of food to those people. And now those people order food from that surfing board and clothing shop. They are now ordering food from that shop. So that shop is still having an income, and they don't
yes.
have their employees. They can still keep their business going. But you see, they had to be agile. They had to readjust and re-strategize. So, and you couldn't tell that business they must not think of high profit margins, because they could still achieve them now by rebranding and re-strategizing their business to say, okay, we have a database. We've got people who buy surfing products from us, but the beaches are closed. There's a lockdown. But then they could still dream big in terms of return on investment through selling food with the same database that they've been selling to surfing products. So it really depends. Where there's a loss of life, yes, some of the dreams and strategies and goals will have to be minimized and delayed. But there's a challenge on leadership, on individuals to expand, to be creative, to be agile, because the important thing is not how we must do things, it's what you want to do. So if you can find a product that you can still push through, or if there's things that you can do as an individual or as a family, so it's not about the how. You might not be able to have people coming to your business or you going to a certain place to do something, but if you change the how, you can achieve a lot online and through social media and all the platform and telecommunication streams. But yeah, so I think the answer really depends on that assessment of what product do I have, or what product can I have for this industry. It's not an automatic stop of what one is dreaming to achieve.
Okay, so what are the common mistakes that people make when setting their goals, like the most common mistakes?
So the common mistakes, I mean, they will range from individual personal goals and visions, and to organizational goals and visions. And there's quite common textbook ones. But I want to start off from biblical point of view in Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 and 3, where it's quite common, a well-known scripture, which says that write down a vision so that the herald may run with it. And on a personal level already, a lot of people fail in terms of vision casting and goal setting because they do not write down. In fact, I'm not sure how true this statistics is, because there is a book that I read last year by Tracy. There's a book by Brian Tracy. It's called No Excuses by Brian Tracy. And he says there that 3%, only 3% of the population in the world write down their goals and their visions. Only 3%.
Are you serious?
It says 90, and then the other 97% works for the 3%. So I don't know how to calculate, but I can relate to it. So, and that's exactly there, linking it to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 and 3. A lot of people in January, if you ask them, they can tell you what they want to achieve, but I want to make it interesting for you. Ask how many people have written that, or how many people can email you their goals and their vision. That number will reduce drastically. And the way we are wired from a neuroscience point of view, there is and I must be careful in terms of causality and correlation, but there's definitely a correlation between writing down your goal and your vision and achieving your vision. So there is that correlation. You stand a much better chance of, if you write down your goal or your vision, to achieve it than if you don't write it down. So one of the mistakes that we do in terms of vision casting, especially on a personal level, is not writing down. Fortunately, in the organizational level, you must communicate it. So I think in most organizations, the vision or the goal will be written down.
Okay.
But on an individual level, there is still a mistake of not writing it down. So that's one of the mistakes that we do in terms of vision casting. And I just wanted to add here in terms of vision casting, in terms of the mistakes that we do. So it's about not writing it down. And also the other mistakes we do is the how. We don't talk about how we're going to achieve it. So the first step is to write that you want to register for a master's, you want to complete a master's program. That can be the goal, or you want to increase your profit margin by 10%. So that can be the goal. But we do a mistake of not writing how, the steps of how we're going to achieve that. So there needs to be steps talking exactly about how you're going to achieve that. Are you going to register at this institution? Are you going to have a mentor? Are you going to have a personal tutor? Are you going to advertise on television? Are you going to advertise on Facebook? Are you going to make companies advertise on your platform and then you get some return? How are you going to achieve that? Are you going to run every week? Are you going to run every 6 a.m. on a Monday? Are you going to call the parents every Friday if your goal is to be more in touch with your parents this year? So the people don't write how. That's one of the challenges. And then also one of the challenges, remember, as the year progresses, we have to keep, there's a term in Japanese, they call it kaizen. Zen means change and kai means continuous. So kaizen, that's a philosophy that even car manufacturers like Toyota use. It means continuous change. And so really with the vision, it's not different. There needs to be kaizen. In other words, continuous change. And how you get kaizen in your life as the year progresses, you must continuously evaluate. So March, you must take stock. June, so we sometimes don't achieve our vision, our goals, because we don't take stock. We don't evaluate, we don't pause and evaluate. So, and when you plan, you must already plan and then set the dates when you're going to evaluate. And that's why a vision or a goal must be, it must not be an elephant. You must write it in pieces, the head, the legs, the trunk. The vision must be packaged in elements that can be reviewed at stages of the year, if it's a 12-month period. And also, people fail from their dreams because people set dreams, but they don't write things they have to remove. Remember, in science, they say matter cannot occupy the same space at the same time. So in other words, for every vision, there's a vision that must die. For every goal, there's a goal that must die. So there are things that have to be removed from the schedule. Organizations have to stop certain programs because for organizations, there's a tendency to add programs upon programs. But there's no program that will prosper if a certain program is not stopped. So
I like that.
Must stop certain tendencies, certain programs, stop certain friends, stop certain programs.
Cut the fat.
Cut the fat. So you can't get in a vision if you don't stop. You will not get a 2021 goal if you don't stop a 2020 goal. So at times in vision casting, there is no space where we need to write. If we're starting this procedure, there must be another procedure we must stop. So people don't do that. They don't remove certain environments. They don't reallocate time to certain things. So some things will have to be starved of time. And so those are some of the mistakes. Elon Musk talks about wishful thinking. So one of the mistakes that happen is there's a lot of wishful thinking, and that really creeps in as a challenge. So one of the things that people don't do in terms of vision casting or goal setting is not defining not defining a vision as a vision, but keeping it as a wishful. Now, in terms of that second question of saying because of the pandemic or the changes we are going through, should we rather narrow the dreaming and or make it smaller for now? I've already explained the previous part, but what I wanted to add to that is to say, now, if you look at the vision or a goal as a SMART, that question will fit in onto the R, which many people, if you look online, they're referring it to relevance. And so the R is for relevant. Others say realistic. So I think that R also gives content, because if you want to push something into the market, or you want to do something as an individual which is not relevant in this time of pandemic, then you are forced to make your dream smaller. You are forced to have put temporary things and not dream big or not go all out because your product is not relevant or your assignment or program is not relevant. However, the challenge then on an individual or organization is, how do I make something that is relevant for now during the pandemic? And that's where the pivoting comes in. So if you can make the vision relevant for the pandemic and the time of COVID, then by all means, shoot for the stars, shoot the lights out. But if the item of relevance is very low, then that is showing you that you have to slow down and cut down some costs, save some money, save some time, and take it easy. Thanks.
So I also want to check with you if it's important for us to share our goals with our teams or people that we are accountable to. And what is the importance with regards to that?
Okay, thanks for that. So we are talking in terms of sharing our vision or our goals with the people we are accountable to. Are you talking now in terms of our mentors or coaches, our super? You can just elaborate on the people we are accountable for.
Okay, so this will be your close family, obviously your mentors and the people that you account to in a personal level. And then in an organizational level, this is your team. This is the people that really your subordinates and your peers and stuff. So is it important that we share to them, or should we just have them go along with what we have planned?
Thank you. That's a very important question indeed, Sakhiwo, that you are raising, and thank you for that question. Yes, in terms of vision casting and goal setting, you see, the Bible even says, how can two walk together unless they agree? So it's important that there is that communication. So in other words, the Bible is saying you cannot walk with a person unless you talk to them, unless, even if you are dumb, you can still use sign language, but there must be a way of sending and receiving, which is communication. So the Bible says, how can two walk together unless they agree? So that sets precedent or principle or theory framework for us now to say, why should we share? So we obviously should share to the people we are accountable to, or to our family members, or to our friends, or the people we are living with, or our coaches and our mentors. First of all, so that we can continue to work with them. So if your wife or your husband doesn't know what you're up to this year, it's going to be very easy for them to be discouraged, or to not to buy in, or to have a complaints in terms of the ways they walk the journey with you. They might feel left out, or there might be a lot of friction if they see that they don't, because if they don't know what you're doing, they will be confused, they'll be frustrated. So they will not be able to work with you as parents, as a wife, as a spouse, as a manager, as a mentor. So you need to tell them so that they can know what is going on. That's the first point. The second point, you then need to know so that they can hold you accountable. Remember, one of the things which is very difficult to do is to achieve a goal if you have no one to account to. There are very few goals which are achieved without accountability. That's why the most successful organizations, they have a means of accounting. And that's why in every year, there will be auditors who will talk to accountants and audit organization. And that's what keeps organization excelling. So even as individuals, when we are accountable, it gives us an opportunity to excel and to go over and beyond our goals and our vision. So for accountability, yes, we must share. And for support, at times along as you go on with the dream, with the vision, with the goal, you will need support. And remember, the Bible says, two is better than one. When there are two, when one falls, the other one will raise them up. So as you go on with the goal as an organization, you will need your employees to pick you up. There will be tough times like the pandemic, where if the employees understand the goal, they will pick up the organization in tough times. So even in life as an individual, there needs to be people who can support you when things are going tough. I know that brothers to another also helps at times with other brothers who are going through tough times. But some of those things, it's people that the organization knows that they've been studying here, they've been going through this. So when they go through challenges that I can't now graduate, it's easy to even assist. You share your goal, you give yourself an opportunity to be supported.
I see.
There's even crowd supporting nowadays through online. I mean, there are people who just put up a poster on Facebook that I've got a degree, but I don't have a job. And you find that poster circulating within an hour, a person has a job. I mean, there are people at the service station who have received more money, because they did something good at the service station, filling station, those kind of things. So the online market, social media has also allowed that if there's a vision that people associate with, they will buy into. And that's already links us to the next reason why you must share, because when you share the goal, you create buy-in, whether it's from subordinates, whether it's from coaches, mentors, but those with the resources, those with skills, you allow yourself, you create buy-in. So we must share the goals and the vision so that there's buy-in. The Bible says, so that the herald may run with it. So other people will run with your dream, with your vision, with your goal. They will make sure that the goal materializes. Why? Because they've been bought into, they've been explained. And that's really the job of a leader, to create buy-in, to communicate the vision. And I mean, the sharp vision communicators are the people, leaders who get the most out of people, because the sharper a vision is communicated, the more effective it will be executed. So it's important to communicate. It also helps you to connect with people, because there are people who have the same goal with you. So when they see your goal or vision, it's a point of connection. And also it allows for mentoring, for others to lead you, and for advices. So it's easy to get good advices if people know what you're working on and you have communicated the goal or the vision. It's also good for learning. There are many people who learn from a vision, even before it's accomplished. I mean, you get a theme in January, there are already people who are inspired. So when you see a goal or a vision, it's already a learning material. It's a learning platform. So that's why it's important to share, because many people learn from the goals and the vision. Obviously, the Bible says in Proverbs chapter 10, verse 14, that the fools easily share of their dreams and their vision. So it's just to caution that it's not everyone who must be told the dream or the vision. So we still need to be strategic, especially on personal goals and ambitions, because some people might see you as a person who cannot, as a person who can't achieve it, and they will easily might bring a negativity or undermine or make you to doubt the goal. So on a personal level, there still needs to be a bit of caution that must be exercised, even on an organizational level, depending on how wide or broad the goal is. You might want to keep your strategy or your move as an organization, keep your cards close to yourself, and we are already getting into concepts of game theory and so on. So thank you.
Yeah. Wow. No, I like that. I think you've covered the follow-up question to that, where I was going to ask if it's important for us to, share these goals to people, to our subordinates or peers, and also how does that help? I think if you've also covered that it helps in terms of keeping us accountable, getting the support that we need, and for the learning to be enhanced. So those are quite profound answers. Then now, how can...
Thanks for that, Sakhiwo. Before we go to the next one, on number 5, what I wanted to add, and you'll see I try to get narrative so that I can give practical experiences. In terms of number 5, in terms of how it helps, and to tie up with why it's important to share your vision, although this was not necessarily a sharing, but when people see, people act, and that's why it's important to share the dream and the vision. And I want to bring you back to this myth. It's a true story or a myth, but there is a myth or a story out there that you will remember in the time of the Second World War. The story goes that in Scotland, there was a boy who was stuck, can say, in a piece of wood, or this wood or log fell on him, and he was almost gonna bleed to death if no one had come to remove him from this piece of block of wood that had fallen on him. So a poor Scottish farmer came, and this boy, as he was crying out for help, there was a poor Scottish farmer who was passing by, and as this Scottish farmer passed by and saw this boy, he removed the block of wood from him, and then the boy went and told his father. He was a child of a rich man. So this rich English or Scottish noble the next day came around to the house of this poor farmer and say, "You saved my child. My child could have bled to death if you had not removed this block of wood from him. Surely there must be a dream you have, a vision you have, a goal you have. How can I help you in that goal?" And in his humility, the poor Scottish farmer could not point or share a goal or a vision that he had at the time. But a small child, a child of this Scottish farmer, poor farmer, walked in as this rich noble, the father of the boy who was caught in the wood, a small child walked in. And although it was not verbal language, but when the rich man, when the noble saw the child running in, he saw that as a goal to say, surely you have a goal to raise this child to be someone great one day. So he said, I will make sure that this child goes to the rich schools where my child will go. So this child of a poor farmer will be raised as a rich man. And like I say, it could be a myth, it could be the truth. The child grew up to be the child of the poor Scottish farmer grew up to be Alexander Fleming. And the child
Really?
of rich Scottish man, yeah, you can look it up. The child of the rich nobleman grew up to be Sir Winston Churchill. And when Sir Winston Churchill was pneumonia, who helped Sir Winston Churchill when he had pneumonia? Alexander Fleming had discovered what? Penicillin, which is the pill or the medication for pneumonia. So if the boy, there was no communication of my goal is to raise my child. If the boy had not walked in, maybe we wouldn't have penicillin by now.
Yes.
So the power of communication, you're communicating your vision. So although it was not, please help me with my child, but the walking in of that boy, Alexander Fleming, allowed Winston Churchill to be healed of pneumonia, you and I to have Panadol and all the treatment that has got penicillin in them. It's the power of sharing your dream. You will never know the power that you as a leader, you as an individual, the power that sharing your dream will have on yourself, on others around you, on community and on the world and the destiny of man at large.
My next question, which was, how can we avoid falling into the trap of advancing other people's visions whilst abandoning ours? So advancing someone else's goals, and then I'm leaving my goals left behind. And this also touches to that thing that you mentioned about the 97% and the 3% that Brian Trace mentioned.
Yeah, so great question. Most of us on an individual level, we do battle with this, wherein we spend a lot of our efforts and energy and our time working and advancing the dreams and the goals and the visions of others. And our own goals and dreams, they suffer. And it's a reality, and I'm glad you raised it up here. There are also organizations who end up not achieving their goals because they want to hire as much previously disadvantaged people, hire as much crippled people or disabled people, which are good causes, you know. But if you are an organization, you must make profit. If you are an individual, you must still run your own dreams and visions. And I went back to a line that, because I used to battle with this as a young child, and I went back to a line that my mother taught us as we were growing up, and she was big on help, but she kept emphasizing that you help from your excess, you help from your excess, and so from your overflow, from what you must make sure that you are fine. So and then you must help others. Yes, there are times where you must sacrifice from the little that you have, but that's on a very small circle, like your child, your husband, your wife, your parents. But it's an issue of, if it's a personal one, it's a circle issue. So how close is a circle of that person that you are helping with that goal? Most of the parents or children who were raised by single mothers, you will find that the mothers gave up their careers and their lives to raise this child. And that's because the circle is small. It's a son, it's a daughter. And there are mothers who do that, and it's commendable. But as the circle grows bigger, you really have to be fine. I mean, we are here in South Africa now. It's really uncalled for to be sending money to India to help the people affected by COVID. If you're in South Africa, where there's more need here, there's nothing wrong with sending money to India, but just think twice before you send the money, because it's needed here in South Africa. It's different from you are staying in Beverly Hills in the US and you want to send money to Africa. You can do that, although the circle is bigger. So what am I saying? I'm saying check the circle of the vision that you are assisting.
Okay.
If the circle is very close, you might have to even go to a sacrifice. That means you are helping from what you don't have. But if the circle gets bigger, you need to be fine. You need to be okay. Your dream needs to be running, and then you help from the excess. It's also, you see, when you fly on the plane, they do mention that put on your mask, then you can put the breathing mask on the other person, because if you are not alive, you won't even be able to help the other person. So it's
Yes,
important
yes.
to drive your dream, because as you drive your dream, you can drive more dreams. And that's a
Wow.
pity with this thing. You need to be careful, because sometimes you can miss out on helping other people now, but you miss out on this 5 and you'll be able to help 5 million later. So it's important to make sure that you are fine first and then you help others. It's also a narration of a light. You see, it's important that you light your own candle, then you can light other candles. It doesn't cost you anything to light other candles once your candle is on. So it's also about where are you in life. You know, if you are in grade 12 battling with mathematics in grade 12, you can't now be saying you're gonna spend all the time teaching others when you're at risk of passing mathematics yourself. So better you be an A student, and now you can afford to be an A student, and then you help others, and you even get better the more you help others. So it also depends, because there are goals which, by achieving other people's goals, you are achieving your goal. So it's not a one statement answer. There are times where it's very beneficial to drive other people's goals, and there are times where it's not beneficial. So times where it's beneficial, as I'm adding, there are goals that by advancing, you are advancing your own goal. So those dreams that include our dreams in their course, it's important to volunteer. It's important to, for example, a church might have a goal and you have a goal, but many a times you find that as a Christian, your goal is aligned to the goal of the church. So as you work hard on achieving the goal of the church, in turn, you are actually, for example, the church wants ushers, people to usher. That's a goal of the church. You as an individual want to grow your relationship with God. You want to serve at church. So when you decide to be an usher, you are achieving your own goal of growing your relationship with God and serving God, at the same time achieving the goal of the church. So there is a blessing of synchronization. And if you can get it, you go for it, because you are benefiting and the person is benefiting. So I know I'm saying a lot of things, but it's about what is a circle. It's about, will you still be okay? Are you fine already? Do you have the access? It's about, does it fit into your goal? But wisdom needs to be applied. It is, as a rule of thumb, it is wrong to advance another goal while your goal is diminishing.
So I want us now to move to habits, right? So what habits should one develop, particularly if they want to achieve their visions or their goals? What habits am I to have? Maybe even if you can give us the core habits that one must have.
So it will obviously depend on the dream and the goal that an individual or an organization has, but there are common habits that will fit in most of the goals or visions, plans of organizations or of individuals. But there are 3 that I can mention now that will fit everywhere. It's number 1, it's exercise, exercise and healthy lifestyle, because it keeps you fit. Exercise keeps you fit and alive to actually achieve the goal and the dream.
Yes,
so it doesn't have
yes.
You have a grand plan, a grand strategy, and you will only live for 3 months and you won't be able to achieve it. One of the last few words that they say Cecil John Rhodes uttered towards this when he was getting closer to the time of dying is that he said, so much to do, yet little time. Those were the words of Cecil John Rhodes. So much to do, yet little time. Because remember, Cecil John Rhodes had the money. He wanted to rule from Cape to Cairo. So he had the money to do it.
Yeah.
He had the resources to do it. He had the British government on his side. Cecil John Rhodes had almost everything to achieve his goal. There was only one thing Cecil John Rhodes did not have. He did not have time. He did not have age. He ran out of time. That's why he stopped. He ran out of time. So one of the things that can make you run out of time is health.
Okay.
Obesity, unhealthy living, sickness and disease. So the top thing, not just on sickness and disease, but to keep you sharp. There are some people who take 3 hours to do something. You can do those things in 30 minutes if you have a healthy lifestyle.
Yes, that's true.
You exercise.
Yeah.
It keeps you sharp. It keeps you intelligent. It keeps you very energetic. So exercise is a habit that the first habit that you must have to exercise, even if it's 30 minutes a day or every second day, but a habit of exercising. It's a key habit for people, for highly effective people. Exercising. Number two, it's reading. So regardless of what I'm trying to get common themes. One of the common things that will help you to achieve your goal is reading. When you read, especially in line with your goal. So what is your dream? What is your vision for 2021? Read in line with that goal. If you want to make a tech business or an online platform business, read more about tech business and online business. If your goal is in line with being an organizational leader, read on leadership. So one of the habits of picking up a book, you can't sleep, pick up a book, read. You are in a bus, you are in an Uber, pick up a book and read. Develop that habit, even if you must choose an Uber, because there are options where you say, I want an Uber where the driver must not talk to me. And 30 minutes drive, you take that one, there's nothing wrong, it's in line with your goal.
Yes.
You read what you are reading about, you might invent something that will even help the driver. So you're not doing anything. So reading is a powerful habit for highly effective people.
Yes.
Reading is a powerful, it keeps you sharp as well. It keeps you informed, it keeps you relevant, it keeps you on the edge of things. When, they say when opportunity meets preparation, success is inevitable. And one of the things that helps you to prepare very well is reading. And then the last one is creating a habit of being on time.
That one is important.
Start on time, finish on time. So you become effective. It's easy to achieve your goal and your vision if you stick to time. So it's not easy, but train yourself time and again to be a person who sticks to time. So what are we saying? The habits that will help you to achieve your goal: exercise, reading, being a punctual person. There are many more, but we just chose 3 that I will apply to most of the goals of people.
How long does it take to develop a habit?
If you go online, you find 80 days to 254. In my experience, but if you talk to people, most leaders, if you talk to most preachers, they will tell you 21 days. I'm not sure if there's a correlation with the 21 days fast as well and so on. But in my experience, the 18 days to 254 will apply, because it depends what kind of a habit are you building. Learning a good shot or swing on golf will be very difficult from maybe learning how to sing at a certain pitch and so on. So habits will vary with time. So I think it depends on what habit are you cultivating. I mean, a habit like reading will not be as difficult. Reading is much easier than the time management thing. It's a thing that can take you some time, because it talks to who are you? Are you a spontaneous person? Are you? Because you need to start now being scheduled. It's a lot more changes. But if you personally make a decision to read, you can even do it when you're alone. But the starting and finishing on time includes other people, because it means now intentionally not answering other phone calls because you want to get to a certain meeting. It means now telling people, I can't talk to you now. It also means telling people, sorry. Starting and finishing on time means saying no to people. And that's a really big, difficult thing to do. So it will vary. There's a 21 that I said most popular people will tell. But the average that is online is 66 days. So it will depend on what are you learning. But I think most things within 2 months, which is 66 days, I would like to say there's a lot of things that within 2 months, you can create a habit of. So it will depend, but I want to say 2 months.
Totally understand. No, thank you so much. I think let's wrap it up now. So in his book, Atomic Habits, so James Clear, he writes that time magnifies your margin between success and failure. And then he also says that good habits make time your ally, and then bad habits make time your enemy. Could you give us 3 good habits we should develop if we want to make time our ally and succeed in 2021?
Okay, so we have mentioned other habits before, but that was general. And now we're talking about habits that touches to time. So the first one will be a habit of the sleep pattern. So it's important because time talks about a number of things. And one of the habits that will create and avail time from you, it's a sleep pattern. That means creating a more consistent time when you sleep, when you wake up, and also creating, so it's the time you sleep, the time you wake up, which automatically talks about the duration you sleep. So if you can't get the start and stop, at least get the duration. But if you can get all three, the start, the wake up, and the duration, that will free up a lot of your time, because now, because human beings are creatures of habits. So once your body already gets to that habit of sleep pattern, that's a win. So you need to check what sleep pattern works for you and stick to it. There's things that steal our time, like you're saying, in ally of time. There are things that make time our enemy, because there are sleep patterns that make time our enemy. So you need to find out the sleep pattern that works for you and stick to it. And that will be one of the habits to create more time and make time your ally. So sleep patterns. The second one I've already mentioned, the starting and finishing things on time. So it's important to train yourself to start things the time you have set to start them, and to finish them the time you have set to finish them. And that means saying no to people, saying no to programs, saying no to some of the things that you actually like and programs. And some of the things, and then the third habit that links to time is it's the issue of being spontaneous. So you need to cut the spontaneous city and focus more on planning, having a schedule. So develop a habit of calendar. There are people who are still not using calendars to plan. There are people who don't use planners. There are people who don't. So write out and learn from a month. When am I going to do this in a month? In a week, when am I going to do this? In a day, when am I going to do this? So the third habit, you need to learn to plan. And plan, we don't mean I'll do this on Thursday. No. But knowing if it is wrong for people to want to see you within 24 hours and be able to see you. Obviously, it will depend on how important the thing is. But let me repeat this. It should not be easy for people to want to see you within 24 hours and be able to see you. Because it talks about, it means you're not a good planner. It shouldn't be that easy for people to get into your diary within 24 hours. So if that is more frequent, it says you're not planning. So what are we saying? The 3 habits that will make time your ally: a healthy sleeping pattern, training yourself to start, finish things on time, and number 3, planning to the details, the month, the weeks, the day, and the hours, and the minutes, and the seconds. That will get you to be effective, and time will be your ally indeed.
Thank you so much, Fundisi. The follow-up question to that is specifically for me, right? So I run an organization that is based in the UK, and I sell products to the US. So in most cases, my hours are Los Angeles hours. So I'm sort of 9 hours behind my clock. So you find that my sleeping patterns are quite the other way around, right? And at the same time, I have to stick to my South African standard time hours. So how would you say I struck a balance that, particularly with sleeping patterns?
No, I mean, there's a thing in business where they say the customer is always right. So if your customers are in LA and you need to check now, quantify the value that you are getting from LA, and there's nothing wrong with following. You don't have to be in LA to live an LA life. So if you have to now completely change your pattern to suit the LA times, you might have to do that. But it's a balance to say, what do you need to do here during the day? Who do you need to see? Who do you need to talk to? Your spouse, your children. So you need to assess what is happening here in South Africa during the day. What value does that have to you? And then check the value of the LA business. There are people who are doing business in LA, staying in South Africa, that ultimately must stop the LA business because it is bringing problems to the family. They are not spending right time with the wife, with the children. They are losing more in family. So it's about a balance of values and sacrifice. But if your wife knows that you are doing this business for 2 years, and after 2 years, the family will achieve 1, 2. That's where we go back to communicating your dream and your vision. Remember, we spoke about communicating a dream and vision to others. So if you have communicated to your wife why you must sleep, follow Los Angeles sleeping pattern and so on, and she understands and she knows it's a thing that we'll do for a year, then you do that. There are people here in South Africa who are working shifts. They are in South Africa, but their families don't see them because they know they will see that person when the person is on leave, or the person will change the job after a year and get another job, which is not a shift. So what am I saying? You need to look at your values. You need to look at the people around you. After you communicate to them, what did they say? For how long will you be doing the but for the market in LA, you need to be sharp. And if that means following an LA sleeping pattern, then you do that. But we fare differently in terms of sharpness. And so you need to gauge, are you being productive? And if you are not being productive, you are going to have to shift to that timeline. But when you ask this follow-up question, maybe I should just put this. I wanted to mention, when you ask a question of habits that make time your ally, I don't know how much time we have and how, but I wanted to say to you in terms of habits that will make time your ally, I wanted to add this, and maybe you've looked it up already. You know, if a person dies at the age of 70, do you know how many, for example, on average, how much time that person spent just waiting? So an average person who died at the age of 70, you know, at least, at a minimum, a person who died at the age of 70 in a middle-aged country, that means there's banks, you stand in queue at banks or at the clinic or whatever it might be, or at the shop, you know, paying for food. On average, a 70-year-old who dies in a middle-aged country, that person would have been just waiting only for 6 months if they died at the age of 70.
Okay.
So they spent 6 months just waiting. And we can go on to time you spent on the phone, time you spent in the bathroom, time you spent in the car traveling. So it goes back to deep Buked. That's why you really need to make time your ally. Otherwise, you might find that you spent 3 hours just sitting in a car listening to music. 3 years of your life listening to music. So it becomes now important. If I'm in an Uber, what am I doing? So time is available to be our ally. But we need to be careful so that, I mean, we don't spend, for example, if you die at the age of 70, that you don't spend 20 years sleeping. That's possible. So that's why we must be very careful how long we sleep and so on.
Sure. No, that's quite insightful. Thank you so much for that. All right. So bonus questions. 3 top people that we should watch closely in 2021, both globally and locally.
It's quite a tough question because there's a lot happening locally. There's a lot happening globally. You're only giving 3 options. So one would have liked to go to different continents and go to different spaces, but it also depends what industry you are in. I think the common themes now will be, obviously the first one might have to be Elon Musk.
I was going to say that as well.
So I think if you follow Elon Musk, you'll be able to see where the world is going in terms of green commerce.
Yes.
And he's doing fantastic thing. Elon Musk is doing amazing. And for us, he's from South Africa. He's from Australia, so I think that's a brilliant inspiration for every young person or man or woman in South Africa or even in the world. Elon Musk definitely. If I look in the political space, to also maybe give a girl child hope, one person to look out for is Kamala Harris.
Okay.
The deputy president, vice president of the US. She's done exceptionally well to be where she is. And I think she's a good role model for any lady, any man as well, or any boy child or girl child. So Kamala Harris, definitely worth watching. I don't know if Joe Biden will go for the second term, but there's a very high chance that Kamala Harris might run for. God forbid that he doesn't finish his term, but it's definitely worth watching, even as a vice president.
Yes.
That international, on the political space, on the business space. Locally, lots happening, lots of things. But Prof. Marala is doing lots of good work with the university.
Wow.
A lot of good work in science, in business. So Prof. Marwala, Chilizima Marwala is a good role model. He has written a book as well in terms of fourth industrial revolution, and then so Prof. Chilizima Marwala is worth looking out for. Closing the Gap. It's the name of the book, and it's doing something about the 21st century leader. So yeah, locally, Prof. Chilizima Marwala is worth looking out for. But there are so many leaders, but you said 3 names. So yeah, Elon Musk, Kamala Harris, and Professor Chilizima Marwala. There's many preachers I can mention, but you said 3 names. But yeah, Bishop BHAG is doing exceptionally good work. And Pastor Derek Pretorius in South Africa, and obviously Bishop Musason. But yeah, that is that.
Wow, no, thank you so much. Anyway, any book that you would recommend for us? I know you've mentioned a book by Prof, but is there any book that you'd want us to read in order to succeed or make our visions achievable in 2021?
So this one is Make Today Count. Make Today Count by John C. Maxwell.
Okay.
Make Today Count by John C. Maxwell.
Yep. That's his favorite book so far.
Okay, Make Today Count, by John C. Maxwell. I'm mentioning this one in terms of what we've been speaking about.
Yes.
And vision. So Make Today Count will really help you for every day to stick to the dream. And then to finish, the Art of Leadership by Bishop BHAG Mills. The Art of Leadership. The Art of Leadership by Bishop BHAG Mills. I've already mentioned The Gap.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is that.
Right. No, thank you so much. And by when should we have finished Make Today Count by John C. Maxwell? I think that's the one that you said talks to the theme.
So this copy that I have here, I mean, it's one of those small, it's 129 pages, but it's not even, it's a quarter of A4. I don't know what size they call that. So that's the size it is. So it's a very small copy. It's a quarter of A4. So 30 days should be worth it. So you should be able to Make Today Count within 30 days. So if today is the 30th of January, then by 30 February, 30 days to finish Make Today Count. Is good enough.
No, definitely we will give you feedback on it in 30 days. Last question maybe is a book challenge from us now. Could you give us a title of a book you'd like to read for the year? Just a book that you've been, wanting to read that you'd like to read. Any book.
So this is the book that myself I'll be reading. You're talking about the one that I'll be reading for you to just...
The book that you will be reading or that you would like to read that you don't have yet. Even if you have it, but a book that you'd like to read.
Yeah, I would like to read, it should be the 21st Century Leader by Prof. Marwala. I'm not sure if it's out yet. But yeah, there's something about there's a book by Prof. Marwala. It's around the 21st century leader the title is it's the next book by Prof. Marwala, 21st Century Leader. That should be the title of the book. I might have to confirm the title with you, but 21st Century Leader by Prof. Chilizima Marwala.
Okay.
That's the book I want to read next. I want to read this year. I will just check if it's out. I've been busy with MBA, so I'm not sure if it's ready. Okay, there I see the title. So yes, it's called Leading in the 21st Century. That's a book I want to read this year. Leading in the 21st Century by Prof. Chilizima. Leading in the 21st Century, the call for a new type of African leader. That's
amazing.
the book I would like to read this year. Yeah.
Okay, so consider that our gift to you. We will be sending it to you for you to read if it's out, and then we will obviously first check if that book is out and send it to you. But Lugisani, thank you so much for your time. If people want to reach out to you on social media, where and how can they get hold of you for more insight like this?
So people can reach me on Facebook. My name Lugisani Nefale. You can inbox me on Messenger. They can also find me on WhatsApp. They can contact you from my WhatsApp number.
Yes.
And then you can also find me on the page of Trinity Impact Church.
Okay.
If you say Trinity Impact Church, if you inbox there. Yeah, but I think, so it's Facebook. It's my number they can get from you. And also on any contact with Trinity Impact Church. But I think for all intensive purposes, if people can get in touch with brothers to others, they will be able to find me there.
Okay.
Yourselves.
No, thank you so much for that. And we will obviously put all your social media pages on the description below so that people can be able to reach you as well. Thank you so much for your time. And like we always say, always keep going.
Thank you for this. This was great. I enjoyed it, and I pray for all the best for these brothers, to others, for this organization to grow and to have more impact. It's wonderful to see what you're doing, and we have no doubt that this organization will grow and to continue to do great wonders in South Africa, in Africa, and the world across. So great work that you're doing, and we are looking forward for more and more. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you.